let's go back to the studio and we can join Steve Howey, Shaun and Cel Spellman.
Thank you for joining us, Manchester City fans, and thank you to Alistair Mann and Nicky Weaver at commentary today. My name is Cel Spellman, and it is full time at the Etihad Stadium. It's finished Manchester City 4, Ipswich 1. 4 points in our first 2 games of the season, and what a way to open up the Premier League season here at the Etihad Stadium. Steve Howey and Shaun with me. Shaun, what a first game of the Etihad Stadium in the season.
Yeah, it lived up to everything we thought, City dominant in possession, creating loads of opportunities, putting away most of those opportunities, and as we thought, to come away convincing winners. It was a period, certainly in the second half, where whether it was City taking their foot off the gas or Ipswich saying we're not really wanting to concede more, I thought they done well enough to sort of take a bit of the sting out of City's attack. But then Haaland, again at that moment ends up scoring the fourth goal. But a brilliant first home game from City.
And Steve, I mean, you mentioned even just for the Ipswich fans, who, by the way, an amazing contingent of them and brought an amazing sound. We kind of thought the main thing was you don't want to have a big beating, lose confidence, and I think you said 3 in it or whatever, you'll take that. So they'll also be happy, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think in the second half, you have to say, fair play to Ipswich. They kind of dug in. They made it difficult to be broken down. Yes, there was kind of half chances for City, but at the same time, at 3-1, I think, if you look at it and their fans, you'd think, we'll take 3-1. I mean, obviously, the man on the screen there, Erling Haaland, he gets the fourth. But Ipswich's biggest rivals is not Manchester City.
No.
So, they'll come away from here, they'll enjoy the day. And as you said, which is right, they've come up in the numbers, and it's not exactly a short trip.
No.
They made they made great noise when Ipswich scored, and different other things that went on. Fair play to them for that. But yeah, I mean, they'll get in the cars, they'll get on the train, and they know they've got bigger games and bigger other teams to play against, which is really going to be their competitors, yes, if you want. Man City's not, Liverpool are not.
Nah.
No, they haven't getting anything from either one of those games. But, they can look at some of the other fixtures and think, this is where we can pinpoint winning some points.
Yes. I mean, as well, it was a baptism of fire for them, wasn't it? To have Liverpool then City. That is a welcome to the Premier League, if ever I saw one.
Yeah, certainly. It was interesting because I think Ipswich will go away, and when they go and analyse this game, I think it all come down to that sort of 16-minute period. I mean, they, as you always expect, a team like Ipswich who comes up and they'll have that energy in that opening minutes, and they were bright and they were lively, and surprising certainly to me how they ran on and scored that early goal. And I think they'll look back and they'll analyse and think, okay, brilliant, how they started, and think that's brilliant. Now what went wrong, beyond that point. So that's 16 minutes of them scoring, doing well, and then also then going, okay, how have we now conceded these several goals after? That's because City then went up 2 or 3 levels and went, this is what City's about. So they'll look back and reflect, and they'll take the positives of that early moments when they was able to create a really good goal against City and how they you could say, opened up City. Mm-hmm. But then they'll have to do some reflection in regards to, okay, how have we conceded? Well, you came up against a very good team that started to get to the levels, and which is why and how City created those chances and sort of blew them off the park.
They really did. I mean, off that, they did score, and I think said it was 3 minutes and 11 seconds passed, and then suddenly City had put the ball in the back of the net 3 times, and it was 3-1. First one was the penalty won by Savinho. Second one then was a Kevin De Bruyne finish, but again, well worked from Savinho, who was a standout, particularly in that first half.
Yeah, I think we'd mentioned it at half-time. His first half was very good. I think as a player making your debut at home, you want to impress the fans, you want to get them on your side. And I think he certainly did that. Obviously, he looks to get the foul. As I said, we analysed it at half-time. I think it's a little bit fortunate that City have getting the pen, but it is a pen nonetheless.
Yep.
Haaland sticks it away, but he's also very sharp and aware for the second goal. He shuts the goalkeeper down. The goalkeeper has a slight change of mind. By that time, it's too late. Loses the ball, and then obviously Kevin De Bruyne sticks it in. But first 45 minutes, I thought he did very, very well. Manager must have looked at it the second half and just thought, you know, an hour or so, whichever it was, in the second half, that's enough, off you come. But a very good home debut.
It really, really was. Then the third goal came, and well, how great was it to see the De Bruyne and Haaland link up in motion? De Bruyne with the assist, Haaland with the beautiful finish. Shaun, talk us through that, because it's not an easy finish.
No, well, we know that De Bruyne often sort of drifts and finds himself wide because he has such quality of passing. When he's in those widest positions, then he gets his head up. And once he's got a bit of time, Haaland makes that run in behind. And again, we said earlier, the ball is so good, it attracts the goalkeeper. And the goalkeeper thinks, yes, I've got to come onto this. And after about 5 strikes, he must have thought, oh no, I'm in no man's land. And he just takes it around him. And the recovering defender is still there. So if he hits that ball on the ground or lower, it gets blocked. So he has to still put it in the air to avoid that recovering defender. It was a brilliant finish, because you could think at times, oh, I've scored. And if you don't execute it, then it could end up being a miss. So it was a brilliant run, great pass, and a brilliant finish.
Second half then comes, and as you say, Ipswich really giving a good account of themselves, kind of more or less stayed the same. City, though, were unlucky, I think, not to score. Rico Lewis again found himself in some brilliant positions. But a big man got the goal and completed his hat-trick, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you've got to give credit to Ipswich. They stuck to the guns, they stuck to the principles. Even right at the end, they're playing out from the back.
Yes.
And you think, fair play.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you're thinking, that's madness. But on the other side of the coin, you're thinking, do you know what, fair play to you. But, yeah, I mean, they worked ever so hard to try and keep it at 3-1. And it was just like a little kind of messy play, really, just on the edge of the box. And I think Rico Lewis is in there, takes like a ricochet, just falls to Haaland. He lets it come across him and hits it with his left foot. You think, is there enough there to beat the goalkeeper? But when you look at it again, it is right in the corner. The goalkeeper's got absolutely no chance. I mean, there's 2 games in the Premier League, scored 4, another hat-trick, 3 at home. You know, the other players, the other top goal scorers must come off their game today and thinking, oh, whatever the result was, and then look at the Man City result and go, might as well just give up now. You know, he's the Golden Boot winner. I mean, he's just off to a ridiculous start yet again.
Yet again, and West Ham next week as well. But Shaun as well, you probably want to add to that. I run out of things to say, or how do you describe it?
Well, he's absolutely right. You know, when you're a striker and you're competing against other strikers, and you know that the other strikers are on form, they'll be thinking, Erling Haaland, has he scored? You know, oh, I've scored today, I've scored 1, I've scored 2. Yes, I'm coming on. They look and think, oh, Erling Haaland scored a hat-trick, and you say, oh, he's got to go again. I mean, he's just a phenomenal scorer. He's relentless, and as long as he's getting chances, what we talked about before the game, we're talking about him, and people talking about, wow, getting involved, getting deeper. He scored the way he does. He doesn't need to be this all-round player, go short and be dropping his shoulder in midfield and pinging it wide. Why? Just stay up front and finish those chances. Yeah. I have to briefly say, Rico.
Yeah.
What a performance.
Yes, agreed. I mean,
what a performance. And this guy just really amazed me. We're watching the game and we're like hitting each other, tapping, like, you see that? I'm like, yeah, I just saw that. A fullback receiving the ball in a telephone booth area, turning, sliding players with like fractions of a second to make those decisions, to have the awareness that when I receive it, the pressure's coming, I'm going to one-touch it and put a play in. Amazing qualities. And I remember when I was playing, I used to think, I've scored a hat-trick. Surely no one could get man of the match. I've scored a hat-trick. I've seen this guy perform, and I'm thinking, well, he should have been very close to getting man of the match, because Rico was sensational. He
really was. I mean, I wanted to get your thoughts on him as well, because you see the defensive side of his game. We were speaking about that in-between area that he picks up, in front of the defenders, behind the midfielders, so hard to play against. And then second half, it was happening, but then he was in the box and he was doing dummy, and he was letting it roll through and nearly got a second chance. Just an amazing all-round game.
Do you know, there's parts of that game he was running the game. Yeah. He was running the show. I mean, and that is when you think of, look at the players that Man City have got on show, and he's the one that's, everything's revolving around him. And you see him coming and sort of, we pick him up in areas, you're thinking, what are you doing there? Yeah. That's why we spoke about it at half-time as well. He goes in them areas which a centre defender doesn't want to go, a full-back doesn't want to go, a midfield player doesn't want to drop. They're in them pockets of nightmare, really, for a team that you're playing against him. But he's just such a wonderful player. As Goat said there, sometimes he's receiving the ball, he's fully aware of what's around him, and he's just popping the ball off or turning and taking it. As I said, for me, I think a good player is a very good photographer. You know, somebody that takes photographs before he receives the ball. When the ball comes to him, 2 of them might have been deleted, but he's already taken another 3 as well, so he's still got those options. He just seems to have that full package of awareness, but not only the awareness, the capability to finish off with what he's wanting, the ball and the moves to go.
I just think if there's any, you know, young fans watching around the world, that was something me and my brother love watching him is, you watch it and he does get targeted, I think, sometimes by the older players, and he gets up every single time. He doesn't let it change his game, and if anything, it almost makes him drive even harder, and he holds himself. You know, you look at even, there was one point he bullied Delap off the ball, and Delap's a man mountain. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And this is what we're saying. He's like a robust, he's resilient, and it's easy for, in today's game, sometimes you get a touch and players roll over and faint. But he's getting smashed, he's getting kicked, he's going in, breaking up tackles, and he just jumps up and gets on with it. And I think it tells me about his character. Yeah. You know, he's like, if I'm gonna get a free kick, I want to earn it. I don't want it to be where I'm cheating. And that tells me a lot about his character. And I can see why Pep was putting trust, because if you got good character, you want that player in your team. And he certainly has the ability. I think he's played about 9 positions today. Because we were tracking him. We was like, look at him now. Look where he is. And he's taking up effective areas. As a fullback, you're thinking, it was a fullback. It was a point where we're like, he's playing number 9.
Yeah, he was.
But at that given time, because of where the game took him, he needed to be there.
Yeah.
Because it then occupied the centre halves or whoever was in that space. Phenomenal game.
And it's as well, he delivers no matter what position he is in on the pitch. He seems to do the right thing all the time, and that's something that we know Pep really values. Is I very rarely see him make a mistake. I rarely see him misplay a pass, and I rarely see him lose the ball.
Yeah, I mean, with good players, they make the right choices, because there's about 5 or 6 choices that he's got.
Yeah.
And just say 1 to 5. 5's the best option. 1's probably the worst option. I've never seen him take option 1, 2 or 3. Nah. It's always 4 or 5 on a spectrum. Yeah. So, you know, as I said, we were constantly, we were laughing about it, because we were thinking, look where he is now, look where he is now, look where and you're thinking, he should not be there. But he's there because he's looking at the game and he's thinking, well, Erling's probably moved to such and such a place. Kevin De Bruyne has moved to somewhere else. I need to be in that area, because if I'm in that area, 1, I can get the ball, or 2, I'm occupying people around me.
Yeah, amazing. Well, listen, let's get the thoughts of Alistair Mann and Nicky Weaver. They were our commentary team today. We can hear from them now.
Yeah, thanks, Kel. Obviously, we've just this second finished the commentary. Nicky alongside me. Nicky, overall, what pleased you most about today's performance?
Well, obviously going behind after 6-7 minutes, not ideal, but it really brought City into life. Before we knew it, they were 3-1 up, and I think, you know, it took to the last few minutes for Haaland to make it 4. We couldn't really believe it took that long, because, you know, De Bruyne hit the underside of crossbar, so did Rico Lewis. So at 3-1, we thought probably at half-time it was going to be 4 or 5. It wasn't to be. The second half was pretty, you know, steady, if you like. I mean, the introduction of Ilkay Gundogan lit the place up. But yeah, listen, it's job done, 4-1, and it's 2 games, 2 wins.
What did you make of Savinho today?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was good last week. I saw him briefly in the Charity Shield. I liked what I saw then. I thought he did well last week, but I thought he was really good today. And, you know, he gave Leif Davis there at left back a torrid time. And I think he's one that you'll see a lot of kids with number 26, Savinho, on the back of the shirt, because, you know, he's a real, gets you off your seat. It goes both ways. He comes in on his left, it goes on his right. He got the penalty. And yeah, he looks a real prospect, one so young as well.
When you look at the statistics of Erling Haaland, you're almost in disbelief. Why is he such an exceptional talent? What is it about him?
I think he's very talented, for starters. He doesn't really run the channels. He doesn't find himself in wide areas. He sticks in between the posts. And he's got an insatiable appetite, you know, for scoring goals. And he's got this amazing link-up with De Bruyne, which we saw again today. And it just keeps making the runs. He plays on the shoulder. He's good in the air. Could have had another one with his head, but from a great save from Muric. And yeah, he's just got an appetite for goals, and you can see that hunger in him. And you know, once he got his first couple today, he'd have been desperate for the hat-trick, which he got. And You know, it's almost normal for him to get hat-tricks in August, isn't it? And yeah, listen, if he stays here long enough, he's going to break all sorts of records.
Who would you most liken him to from players you've either seen or...
He's very unique. He's got a little bit of everything because he's great in the air. The one thing I would say is probably his hold-up and his link play probably needs to improve, but you know, ultimately he scores goals, and that's what he's paid huge amounts of money to do. And it, for me, he's the best number 9, you know, in the world. And I don't think we've ever really seen anything quite like him in terms of a physical specimen. He can leap. I think Pep said last year he's almost made out with elastic. So yeah, he sort of hooks balls back in that you think are going out, and he really is a top player. And again, he's only so young, so there's more to come.
Obviously, Pep Guardiola's a perfectionist. Which areas will he be nitpicking with the team after today?
I think he'll be disappointed how they let the first goal in. They got caught on the break. He'd have liked them. I mean, he saw times today where he was getting really frustrated, so there's obviously something that he wasn't quite happy about. Maybe they weren't quite as fluid as he would have liked. Probably he wanted the game put into bed a lot earlier, so he maybe could have brought players off earlier. But I don't think he's ever happy, is he? I don't think you ever look at Pep and he comes out and says, yeah, that's a complete performance. I think he's always looking to tinker. But yeah, a great day, and it's the first home game of the season. Great atmosphere before the game, and yeah, great atmosphere during the game, and obviously a great result in the end.
Just one final thought. Everyone thinks of City as being slow starters, that they grow into a season. What have the first 2 games told us?
Well, they're not slow starting this season, that is for sure. And the rest of the Premier League better be ready, because they've got one more game before the international break. And I think after that, all the players will be pretty much back up to full speed. Hopefully the injury to Kovacic isn't too serious, and he'll be back for, if not next week, certainly after the international break. But yeah, it bodes well for the rest of the season, that is for sure.
Thank you, Nicky. Thanks as well for the commentary. So, a hat-trick for Haaland, a cameo for Ilkay Gundogan, plenty of entertainment. What more could we have wanted? Back to you in the studio.
Well, Alistair, man, I couldn't have wanted for any more. It's been the perfect day here at the Etihad Stadium. Thanks again to Ali and to Nicky. Quick word on that, gents. The atmosphere was lifted when a certain Ilkay Gundogan suddenly was seen warming up, and into that second half was the first substitution Pep made. So great to see him returning back out on the pitch, and as we said, and we knew he would, just slotted in seamlessly.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, there was a huge roar when he when he went to warm up, which was magnificent to see. But obviously, it was down on this side, although it went around the ground. But of course, when he came on, the whole ground stood up and applauded and cheered, and rightly so. I mean, he's been absolutely fantastic here. And as you rightly said, you know, we've had players in the past that's come to City, and it just taken them a little bit of a while to sort of get used to what Pep wants from him. But he knows, and he just, it's just like he's never been away. He just gets the ball, gives it, moving around. Goat had mentioned, I think, before the game about how he ghosts into those areas to get those vital goals, and he was still actually trying to do it. It just so happened that the ball didn't come to him, but straight away he's back in the mix of things, which is magnificent for him, magnificent for the club, and magnificent for the fans.
Absolutely, indeed. Right, we asked for your questions. So we had one at half-time. Now we've got this other one, but we're doing it a bit differently this year. We want you to be on the show. So if you film yourself asking a question, send it over to us and we'll play it out in Matchday Live. We're going to go to this one now that came from Hadish.
Hi, my name is Adish. I'm from Belgium, and I live in Antwerp. I'm 11 years old. I wanted to ask you, what do you think is your greatest comeback last season?
Ooh, Adish there, bringing a big old question. Great question. Quite appropriate as well, actually, given that City did go 1-0 down in this game, came back and won 4-1. We do seem to never panic when we go a goal or two down. There was a few last year. I mean, the one that came to my mind straight away, obviously, the big one was Newcastle. But there was a great one when we went 1-0 down to United at home. We also had West Ham away, Luton away, and Everton away, which was the kind of, when you think of it.
Me, and I'm not saying it because obviously, I mean, the past of Newcastle, but I was actually at the game, and it was the two teams went toe to toe, and it was the first time I've really seen City. All of a sudden, they're coming up against an opposition because Newcastle are at home and Newcastle are going for it hell for leather. and they just stood up to everything. But of course, Newcastle go into the lead and then they get the goal. And by the time I walked down to where I was, it was the exact time that the ball was played to, I think, was it Oscar Bob who scored? Oscar Bob, but the quick feet. And I was right there, and the quick feet that he did and just tapped it in. I mean, that was amazing. The whole ground, you know, a lot of people that's been to St James's know the atmosphere is sometimes ridiculous, but there was a lot of Newcastle fans actually applauded that because of the skill. Yeah. Because that was when Kevin De Bruyne came on as well, didn't he? He just completely changed the game. So that for me was unbelievable.
I think it was almost the turning point of the season as well. I think getting that win. And then
I wouldn't differ from that, because I remember watching that game. I was actually home watching that game and knowing what it's like playing at Newcastle. Yeah. The fans are really like behind their team, and because they had a bit of that momentum. And then KDB with that pass and Oscar Bob, I'm still to this day thinking, how has he done that? You know, that little quick 1-2 with his feet as a great finish. But to come back in that against the run of play in terms of momentum Newcastle had, shows you the spirit of the city, etc. So that, I think, that was really a huge comeback.
Lovely. Adish, thank you so much for that question, dude. Great to have you on the show. Enjoy the rest of your summer if you've got some left, and make sure you do your homework when you get back to school, my mate. And as I say, if you've got another question, get it in. If you want to do what Adish is, the link will come up on your screen now, and that is how you can get involved with the show. We'd love to get them in, so please do send them throughout the weeks. Right, quick look ahead then. West Ham next. Actually, I think it's where Haaland opened his scoring in a City shirt. They've won today 2-0. Not going to be an easy fixture. I mean, I'd love Kudus there at West Ham as well. I think he's a brilliant player. They've made some good signings as well.
They have, yeah. They've made a number of signings. Obviously, a new manager as well. I think the lad, is it Falconer or something like that? He plays up front for the German lad. He looks a handful, and as I said, one or two others. I was a little bit surprised at the first game of the season that they didn't win. But yeah, it's going to be a tough game. It's always, I mean, there's never an easy game in the Premier League. Every game's a tough game, and it doesn't surprise you if any team beats any other team. But look, the way City have started, very, very positive against Chelsea. And today, everybody expected City to win. But it's all right sort of saying, well, everybody expects it, you've got to do it.
Yes.
You know, you've got to be professional, you've got to be switched on, you've got to be at it. And they were. So, yeah, looking forward to another brilliant game next week.
And I guess as well, Shaun, it was great to see we had John Stones came on. Sadly, it looked like a little knock for Kovacic. We hope that's not too serious, but great to see Stones on. Jack Grealish back on the pitch as well. So it just suddenly feels as well now the squad's finally coming back into its full strength, which can only stand us in good stead when we take on West Ham. Yes,
the players starting to come back, which is really good. It just shows you the versatility that City have. You know, Stones, we obviously know as a centre half, but he can play in that role. Gundogan comes on, and you're thinking who moves where. Again, Gundogan can play 8, he can play 6. Just a little bit of shuffling. This is the greatness about City. Players are starting to come back, and the ability to be able to put players in not the natural position, but they still play as well as their natural position. So, yeah, really good to see Stones back out there. Again, just, you know, real neat and tidy, keeping things nice and tidy. Just a really good performance by him, getting up to speed with things.
Absolutely. Gents, well, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's flown by again. So thank you so much to Shaun Goetz. Thank you to Steve. As always, thank you to all you brilliant Man City fans around the world for joining us. Remember, we'll be back for that West Ham game. We're also going to be covering our women's team over in their pre-season tour in Australia. But until then, I'm going to leave you with this little teaser of a brand new documentary. You know, we love bringing you them from City Studios, and this one is an absolute belter. It's about our very own Stockport Iniesta, of course, as well. He won the PFA Player of the Award a year this week, deservedly so. He is a little bit ill at the moment, so we hope he gets better soon. But why don't you feast your eyes on this and make sure you get your eyes around it when it comes out. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.
I mean, he was obsessed.
He was obsessed. I was just obsessed with football.
He's turned into such an outstanding football player.
He's already one of the best players in the Premier League. I think the future is all his.
He'll be up there with the best players in the world.
He could be a Ballon d'Or winner. He sort of sat back and was like, wow, you're going to be a really special player.
He was doing all these magical things at such a young age.
Phil was the smallest one, but if he was on your team, you knew you were going to win.
He can be running for 90 minutes. He doesn't stop.
Phil in that game was he was the most Brazilian player on the pitch.
genuine love for playing football.
Whatever he wants to achieve, he can get it.
He's just a lad from Stockport.
Statue next to yours as well.
You probably have a whole stadium for him.